Welcome back to Modern Tactical Shooting. Now, this video is all about the ice flask from Qore Performance and why I think this is going to become the go-to method for carrying water on your combat kit, at least within special operations. And to explain just why I think this is going to become the go-to method, I really need to go all the way back to early GWOT and really go over how SF guys have carried water through GWOT and how they really stay hydrated up until now, and how guys are doing it just might surprise you. So yes, this video I am going to focus on the Qore ice flask, but let's go back in time and let's talk about staying hydrated in combat. So while the 1 quart canteen is currently still the go-to item for the conventional army, in fact, a lot of units, it's SOP to have this on your TAPS chest harness. I challenge you to find pictures of Special Forces guys rocking 1 quart canteens outside of, say, the Q course, like Selection and Robin Sage, or if you go all the way back to late 2001, going into 2002, the invasion of Afghanistan. Yes, guys were rocking 1 quart canteens on the Spear Bulks system. But outside of that, I think you'll be very hard pressed to find any current or really photos of the last 20 years of any Green Berets rocking 1 quart canteens. They just don't do it, and I didn't do it after 1999, 2000 when the Spear Bulk stuff was issued. This is a photo from 1999 Kuwait. I'm rocking an LCE. Of course, 1 quart canteens, it's the same setup I had when I was in the infantry, but with the adoption of Mali and the adoption of wearing body armor and hard plates, the 1 quart canteen really disappeared within special operations. It doesn't fit on your kit well, and really the solution to staying hydrated came in the form of course, adopting camelback bladders. Specifically the 2-liter bladder, and really that became the go-to, at least for the early days of Iraq. We were all rocking either the Spear Bulks plate carrier, or when we moved on to the Eagle Cirrus maritime plate carrier, or we were all rocking those 2-liter full-length bladders to stay hydrated. And for combat operations in Iraq, for SF, there were very short duration missions, meaning you would go in, hit a target, and you would always be out the same night. There weren't really any extended combat operations. So a 2-liter bladder worked great. It worked just fine, especially in the over 100-degree weather of Iraq, and really that was the go-to. Now, if you look at Afghanistan, things are a little bit different. Especially, I would say, the last 10 years or so, you'd be hard-pressed to see SF guys with any sort of water hydration bladder on the back of their kit or their plate carrier at all. And there's a reason for this. One, in Afghanistan, it's normal to have long duration missions, usually about 2 or 3 days on the ground, in which case you're going to have to wear some sort of 3-day assault pack or a backpack to carry all your gear. And wearing a backpack over body armor is already miserable enough. So trying to have a full-length bladder on your back and then a backpack over it, it's really just not that practical. And as the Army started to armor up with MATVs and RGs, there's zero room in these vehicles, especially if you have something on the back of your plate carrier. So the 2-liter bladders disappeared, and a lot of guys replaced it with a smaller, like 500 milliliter or 1 quart bladder. That's what I ended up rocking. I saw some guys running these smaller bladders in 2014. But a lot of SF guys, if you look at photos, they ran 0 bladders on their back. They weren't rocking canteens. So how did they stay hydrated? Well, the solution was pretty simple. And it came in the form of these disposable 500 milliliter bottles. The Army purchased probably millions of these over GWOT to be sent in theater. There was pallets on every base. And really what guys would do for missions, if it was a vehicle infill mission, there would be a cooler in every truck. You freeze a bunch of these, throw them in the cooler, and drink as needed. And if you had to move away from the vehicle for some sort of operation, guys would just throw a bunch of these in their pockets, and that would be good enough. And for a long duration mission, typically when we did our air infill, well, everybody's going to be wearing some sort of assault pack, in which case there were still a lot of guys employing 2-liter full-length size bladders in their packs. And then again, they would supplement with a bunch of these water bottles. Again, freeze a bunch. You can put them down your shirt to keep yourself cool. Throw them in your pocket. Again, the Army had millions of these, so very disposable, easy thing. You don't have to keep track of losing a canteen, or in which case, a Nalgene bottle. These are very popular within SF also, but there's some issues with these I'll talk about here in a second. So yeah, this really was the go-to option for many Green Berets. They would literally carry half and a dozen of these in their pack, and they would stay hydrated with these. But there is a big issue with just using these commercial water bottles, which I'll talk about here in a second. So yes, Nalgene bottles are a very popular option, but it's really for the, I would say, the administrative or training side. You'll see a lot of guys will rely on these in training because you can throw one of these in your dump pouch when you're out on the flat range, or just keep a bunch in your range bag. You do whatever training you're going to do. When you take breaks, you whip out your Nalgene bottle. They weren't really carried a lot on missions because let's face it, this is worse trying to wear one of these on the back of your kit. They stick out even farther, and you can throw a bunch of these in your pack, but when you stack them up, there's a lot of dead space around them, and it's a bottle you have to keep track of. You can carry one Nalgene bottle or two or three of these, and if you lose some of these, hey, no big deal at all. So yes, you'll see a lot of Green Berets use these, but it's more, I would say, in an admin style role than actually out on missions. Now, if they are doing some sort of class of patrolling where they got to wear some sort of LCE or jungle rig, then chances are you'll see them rocking these in some sort of pouch. Green Berets aren't going to be caught dead rocking one quart canteens. They just don't do it. Again, outside of the Q course. So what's the problem with these? Well, the problem mainly with relying on these commercial water bottles, and I saw it plenty of times in Afghanistan, is these are super fragile. So yeah, you can freeze a bunch of these, throw them in your pocket, and as you drink, you can just, throw them off to the side. But once something happens and say you're running and gunning at a gunfight, these are pretty fragile and you start jumping up and down, these can crack and break and then you're out of water. Or if you have a bunch in your assault pack, you throw it down too hard, and again, these can break. So you might go in with 6 liters of water. You might have a dozen of these and you break a few. Next thing you know, you're down to 4 liters of water and then you're on day 1 of the mission. And I saw that happen quite a few times. Either SF guys did not plan to bring enough water because they got to make it last 3 days before you see a resupply. When you're out on a mission, it will be an airdrop in, or some of these break and then they're short water. Now, for a 3-day mission, again, that's as far as you would have to plan because you would start getting airdrops from the 3rd night on. I would carry 6 liters of water myself, and that would be the 1 quart style bladder on the back of my body armor. I would have a 2-liter bladder in my assault pack or 3-day pack. I always carried 2 Nalgene bottles. And then I would carry a couple of these frozen also. So I would roll with about 6 liters of water. But again, there are problems with relying on these right here. And this has kind of become, I wouldn't say a training scar, but really a combat scar within SF. If you look at modern photos, you will still see the majority of Green Berets out there running 0 hydration bladders on the back of their kit. You won't see them with canteens. Again, you might just see one of these in a dump pouch. So how are they going to stay hydrated on a long duration mission? That's going to be a problem. And relying on these, again, you're kind of rolling the dice because they are so fragile. That is where I think the ICEFLASK is going to become the modern solution based on these disposable bottles right here, but a lot more durable and practical water container. So let's talk about the ICEFLASK right now. All right, so I have 2 ICEFLASKs right here, and these are designed to have a few advantages over both the commercial disposable water bottle and your Nalgene bottles. The first being, of course, it's a lot more durable. This is hard plastic, so it can take a beating. I don't know exactly what it's made out of, but it's designed that you can freeze it just like you can these commercial ones, and then throw it in your kit and it'll stay cool. And you can also put hot liquids in it also. And it's curved to fit the natural shape of your body, so it will fit flush against you. I'll talk about just exactly how these are worn here in a second, but also they are designed to be stackable. It has the little Qore Performance emblem here in the front, while on the inside it actually has grooves cut in the other emblem, so they stack up super tight. So if you put them in your pack, there is zero dead space with these. So you could freeze a bunch of these, throw them in your pack, and they take up at least amount of room as possible when you start stacking these. So that's the advantage over, say, using Nalgene bottles. Now, how these are actually worn on your kit, I think that's where these are most impressive. So let me change camera angles and kit up, and I'll talk about how these are actually worn and employed on your kit. Now I have the ice flask in its wing mount, which can be mounted to both the left and right side of your plate carrier and in the back, which I'll show here in a second, but it simply Velcros into the front panel of your body armor and is secured by your cummerbund. And it fits perfectly right in these little side gaps between your cummerbund and your body. There's a natural little hole right here, and that's why you see special operations personnel, they mount their 152 radios just off to the left and right because there's gaps between your body and the cummerbund. In fact, the ice flask is purpose built off the shape of a 152 radio, specifically to fit snug in this little gap right here. Now, to access the ice flask, it actually comes out and goes back in through the bottom. Now on mine, I put little lanyard pull tabs and it just pops right out. It's locked in place via the plastic insert, and there's an actual cut on the ice flask itself, and that's where it's going to lock back into. And if you notice, it does have a slight curve to it to fit snug against your body. So to reinsert it, you're going to keep pushing and you hear a little click, and it's locked back into place. Now they have the wing mount, and they also have a traditional MOLLE mount if you want to mount it to the outside. I have a lanyard loop on here and I can access it. I'm only about 20% effective getting it back into this pouch on the back outside. I need to practice it more before I attempt it on camera, but hey, let's give it a whirl. Oh, there it is. I just happened to get it that time, so not half bad. All right, now to change it to left or right wear on your body armor, regardless if it's in the front or back, you just have to take out the plastic insert that the ice flask locks into and then flip it around to change its direction. And then you can wear it on the left or right. And there's a little flared edge on the bottom of this holster, and that's where the ice flask goes into. As you can see, I've got it mounted on the bottom now, and the ice flask only goes in one way. So let me lock it in place, and it's ready to go. And I was wearing it on the left side of my body armor, and now it's set up to wear on the right. Velcro it in place, and I'll secure it with the cummerbund. Now I'm going to show off wearing it behind my hip, basically again in that gap right there on the left and right side of your body armor, and pull it out through the bottom. So with just two different style of pouches, you have multiple mounting solutions. You can go with a standard outer MOLLE style pouch. So if you want to attach it, say, to the front of your TAPS chest harness, or with the wing mount, again, you have multiple mounting solutions. It's going to mount to the gaps to the left and right side of your plate carrier vertically, or you can Velcro it into the front or back of your plate carrier and you can rock it horizontally and it's still going to work. So I think that's pretty cool. And I get excited over simple things. Sure, I like talking about guns and gear, but it's the little things that really I get excited about. And this is something that you're going to use a lot when you're out on missions. I wish this had been invented during my time during GWOT. I would have used the heck out of these things a lot better, again, than using these disposable fragile bottles. I think it's a very practical solution. And that's why I think these are probably going to slowly catch on, but give it a few years and I think you're going to find, again, these are going to become the go-to solution, at least within special operations, for carrying water on your combat kit. Now, of course, I'm an ATS tactical gear guy, and with their chest harnesses to facilitate the mounting of their kangaroo pouch, there is a Velcro panel on the inside of the chest harness. Well, with that, it also makes it compatible with the ice flask with their wing holster. So that is pretty cool. So I can rock this on all my different chest harnesses. So here it is, the ice flask from Qore Performance. You can find out more at qoreperformance.com. I'll put a link down in the description. And again, like always, hopefully you found this video entertaining and informative. Now, stay hydrated. I'm Jeff Gerwich. Thanks for watching.